Well, I want to talk about lean learning. This is your newest book. I'm assuming this is the New York Times bestseller.
It is. Yes, thank you.
The list. I have struggled with this concept, and I think that, as somebody that consumes podcasts, and, I've got courses for filmmakers, and there is so much stuff that it can feel overwhelming, and it can also become like kind of a part-time job to feel like you need to stay on top of all the things and do all of the things. What was the marker for you? Like, when was the light bulb? When did that go off where you said, this needs to be addressed? We need to talk about this.
A part of it was my kids, actually, as they got into middle school and high school, they wanted to learn everything. And I'm like, this is great. I was encouraged. This is great. Let's scratch that curiosity. But then it was literally everything. So much stuff that they were just getting overwhelmed, that they never really took action on anything. They never went down the rabbit hole that they wanted to, because there were so many rabbit holes. And the hard thing is, especially for the kids and for all of us now, I don't admire them in the era that they're growing up in. It's so much more difficult than when you and I grew up. When you look up something that you're curious about on YouTube, even if you're just an inkling of curiosity, you're going to be force-fed so much information about that from that point forward, right? Because of the algorithms. And it's going to be good stuff. It's going to be stuff that has great titles and thumbnails, and it's going to be oh, I guess I need to watch this, right? And because those algorithms know more about you than you know about yourself. And it's crazy. We are not evolved to absorb this much info. We're just not. Information at one point used to be valuable, right? If you were the smartest kid in the class, you were going to be the most successful. If you had information, you were more powerful. No longer. It's do you remember Encyclopedia Britannicas?
Of course.
It's
all the rich kids had those.
Yes, exactly. It's they could afford.
We did not.
They could afford information. They were smarter because they could afford it. Now we all have access to literally the same information on our phone. However, we still treat it like it's a scarce food source, right? Imagine caveman days. You come across a carcass or some bush with food, and you're like, I'm going to hoard it all because it's survival. You might not come across another one for a while, so I need to store up. That's what we do with information. It's why when we go in the car, we have to have a podcast on. We have to have an audiobook playing. Or else we feel what? We feel like we're wasting our time by not filling it in with this new stuff. There's a reason why it's called shower thoughts. When you're in your shower, you have your best thoughts. You have your best ideas. Why? Because it's literally the only place in the world now that you have nothing else to do but just think. We no longer give ourselves that time to think anymore and go deeper with what we already have access to process. Right, which is why this is going to sound weird, but when I'm in the car now and I'm driving, bro, I raw dog it in the car. I don't have anything play. And it's weird, number one, because I'm like, oh, my car makes that sound? I never heard that sound before. I guess that's normal. But number two, I can start thinking about the things that are going on and process them and understand them and get creative about the things that are exciting about me versus being told about this new exciting thing. And that squirrel syndrome starts to kick into play. And that FOMO of, oh, this person's talking about this. I need to go do that now when I already said yes to this. So we're at this buffet line of information now, and we're stuffing our plates full. And we're getting force-fed by these algorithms. The way to make it work today is to transition from just-in-case learning, which is what we've been doing, to just-in-time learning. Finding the right information, just the right information from the right resource at the right time. Trusting that when you are ready for the next step, that information will be there. And by the time you need it, it's probably going to be even better and more relevant. But it's so hard because we are fighting against those natural urges to consume everything. They even call it consuming information, like you're consuming food, digesting information. We are obese with information right now. Find the right thing for the next step that you're doing. Take action on that and learn from the actions you take and the mistakes that you make, right? Fail faster. Fail just means first attempt in learning, and go from there. And that's really what I'm trying to impart on my kids and all of us, my students, is that, especially in this world that's now AI driven, real learning and progress will come from not how much information you know, but how well you can put it to use.
When I went to university, it was like, hey, we're going to teach you how to think. And that still applies. It is still so relevant today. If we're not teaching our kids or ourselves how to think better, that's just not winning. What would you say, is there anything after writing Lean Learning, is there anything that you're like, oh shoot, I wish I would have included this? Does that happen as you write books?
It does, but I've had 4 years to write this thing. I was very thorough with the research and the stories within it. I would say that there were certain parts of the book that I didn't know people would really gravitate toward, though. You never really know until you put it out there. So a lot of people have been resonating with my chapter on micromastery, actually. And micromastery is taking this big thing that you're learning about, finding all the little bits and pieces around that make up that thing, and find one little piece and just mastering that. This is really important when it comes to learning anything, is that if you want to be a better anything, find the compartments or components of it and pick one, and for a period of time, hyper focus on it.
Yeah.
And so I did this when I learned how to become a public speaker. I was a terrible public speaker. I was definitely afraid of the stage, but I wanted to learn. I knew it was good for my career, and I knew it was a skill that I should improve on. So I hired a coach, and that was really helpful. Getting mentorship is very key. But after I worked with the coach, I said, you know what? I want to get better at all of this, but I can't get better at all of it at the same time. It's like if you imagine a conductor of a band, the way they get better at songs is not by playing the song 100,000 times over and over and over again. The trombones are messing up in this part, and they have the whole band stop, and they go, okay, trombones, just measures 35 to 45, go. Okay, stop. Jimmy, just you, because that run is a little off. Jimmy, go. Jonah, go. They all have J names. I don't know why, but... Janice, go. And then, you work on that until it's good. And then now you move on to the next part that's messed up, right? Where the trumpets have this fanfare over here that's kind of wonky. That's how we can approach these things. So the way that I approached public speaking was, okay, in this next talk, I'm going to focus on just the first 30 seconds and what I'm going to say as soon as I get on stage. The rest of it, I'll improve on that later. I know where I'm going in the presentation, but I want to really hone in on the first 30 seconds. So what did I do? I watched 100 TED Talks, but not all of them. I just watched the first 30 seconds of each of them. I asked people what they would recommend, and I found experts who knew exactly how to capture attention on stage, and I just focused on that. Another presentation later on, I focused on just what do I do with my hands? So I watched TED Talks and all these public speakers, not caring about what they said, but just what do they do with their hands? How do they use their hands to emphasize certain things or to make people feel like this thing you're saying is a little bit more vulnerable, and these tricks and things that you can learn that can stack and stack and stack and stack. And all of a sudden you're getting paid now 5 figures to present when before you were deathly afraid, which is I've earned over $500,000 in speaking on stage now since I was deathly afraid of doing it back in the day. So that's micromastery in action. And that is an incredible way to get better at anything, not by just doing all of it, which can be very overwhelming, but by hyper-focusing on something so specific for a short period of time. And again, finding the right resource for the right time, for the right thing.
I love that. It reminds me of when I was faced in my production business. I had went from not knowing how to use a camera or light an interview or do anything like that to, 10 years later, I was like pretty good at it. And man, the some stuff, I would get some shots. I'm like, this is amazing. This looks really, I can't believe I captured that. But, and I was able to charge like next to nothing when I started, and then, we're charging tens of thousands of dollars for some of these wedding films. But I got to a point in the quality of the work where it's like, I can't keep improving. My filmmaking is only going to increase like incrementally, and I'm not going to be able to charge it a lot more for, I don't know how to exactly say that, mm-hmm. but for what I was learning in filmmaking, it wasn't going to allow us to grow the business. And then that's when I started to say, well, what if I focused on the business side of what we're doing and tried to figure out the things there? And so I would say that's what I love about what you're sharing here, because for so many of us, we get frustrated. We don't have as many leads as we want. We're not closing as big of deals as we want, and it gets hard to run a business when you're in that spot. And so I would just encourage you to take one of those things. Is it you don't have enough leads, or when you do have leads and you're having discovery calls, you're not closing as many, or you are closing a lot, but you're just not closing for the amount that you need to be, that you really want. Pick one of those and focus on that, and really just figure out like who is doing it, who is already doing what I want to do, and lean into those, conversations or communities.
Yeah, 100%. If you want to learn how to charge more and feel comfortable doing that, listen to the episode with Chris Do and the way that he talks about how to position himself as a creative and artist when, selling his services. Yeah. If you're looking for leads, maybe you hyper-focus on literally email marketing for the next 2 weeks. Who's doing email marketing? Who's killing it? Yeah. How are we writing subject lines? And you're not going to do that forever, and you might hate it, but at least it's for a specific period of time with an end date so that you can master it and move on to the next thing, right? And so in the beginning, it's going to be hard, and you got to be a disaster before you become the master, but I think the best way to do that is incrementally and through these sort of hyper-focuses.
Yeah, that's really good.